Welcome to the Kingdom Corner. We are your hosts, Andrew and Mr. Dale Baker here. But before we jump into this, we want to remind you, make sure you like, subscribe, all those fun things. Share this with your friends so that more people can hear about all this great Chiefs content in a family-friendly format. Also, spoiler, here in an episode or two, we might be doing a giveaway of some sort. But you have to listen to the episode to find out. But anyways, Mr. Dale Baker, how are we doing today?
Man, doing pretty good. Got the second day of school, got the kids out of the house, so we are rocking and rolling. With that, high school football will start Friday, and that means college football, I think, starts Saturday or maybe
Yeah.
Friday.
Yeah, week
And then, so
zero.
yeah, I think when we're recording this, we're 15 days away from NFL football.
Man, it's getting close. It is getting
That's a
close.
good number. That is a good number, too.
It is. It is. Mahomes numbers away.
There you
Man, it's
go.
going to be a great season. Looking forward to it. You might even call it a revenge tour, even though they made the Super Bowl, but just how they looked in that last Super Bowl, I think. Well, I we're not doing predictions today, but I think you might see some fireworks this year. But
Oh,
yeah,
yes.
we're in the school year here. We got some of the ones that are old enough, at least into going back to school. Praise the Lord, right? But hey, it's good. Football season is right around the corner. It's basically upon us. So we're gonna be going
Oh,
through
yeah.
some of the preseason, not necessarily the games, because we'll talk more about that in a second too, but more so the valuation of those things. Talk about who do we think is going to make the 53-man roster. A lot of interesting components and players there. And also, does the Chiefs offense, is it going to have to step up at all if the Chiefs defense takes a step back without Justin Reed back there? So all that and
Yeah, yeah,
more
yeah.
is coming up. So come hang out with us.
Mahomes looks to throw it. Pump faking right side. He wants it. A comeback cut. It is caught by Kelsey. Touchdown! Kansas City. The game is over. The Kansas City Chiefs are champions.
How about those Chiefs?
All right, Dale. So the first question we got here is what do you think of preseason games? How much stock should we put in some of these games? Because we've seen in these previous two games, we got our last one tomorrow, but I mean, the Chiefs have not looked good in those first two games.
No, they have not looked good. Now, I wish I mean, I'm happy the first game, just talk a little bit. I mean, I'm glad we got the kickoff fumble recovery and we had a short field to work with. And Mahomes did exactly, and the boys did exactly what they needed to do was punch that in for a touchdown. And so I wish it was a little bit of a longer drive just to see the offense, get call plays and get going and get really rolling. And so, but yeah, we shouldn't put too much stock in the preseason because for especially for the Kansas City Chiefs, just because they're in the unique situation, because they know who they are.
Yeah.
We know who the starters are. We kind of, I think we're figuring out that left offensive line, but I think for the most part, we kind of know who's going to go. And so really, this is about getting those young guys film, the second, third, and fourth string guys. So yeah.
Yeah. And I think to add on to what you're saying as well, the Chiefs are the only team that made it to, as far as they have in the postseason the last few years. There's no team in the NFL that's played more games over the last 6 years than the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah.
And so I think they also know that, hey, we got to save some of our bodies for this long season that's coming upon us. And so, yes, they get a bye at some point, but man, that all those hits add up after a while. And so to take a few
Oh
less
yeah.
hits in the preseason is a good thing on those guys and their body. So yeah, I kind of agree with you. It's basically just it's a glorified practice, right? And so it's a more competitive practice with refs and a score this time instead of
Yeah.
just going to, training camp and watching them out there for a few plays. So it's all it is a longer practice with refs and a time. Yeah. So
And Andy Reid is historically known for his tough trade camps.
yeah, he
Are we
is.
on? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we got it. We also got the 53-man roster coming up here. So all that's gonna have to be decided here pretty soon. And so there's a lot of interesting components here. So there's some running backs that could or could not make the team, some wide receivers, some cornerbacks, even the quarterback position, right?
Yeah.
Uh, as best we can tell, okay, so we got a few people that we think, okay, these guys are for sure going to make the team. Like your Patrick Mahomes for sure making the team. But then some of
Yeah.
your guys who've been on the team for a while, like your backups, like your uh, I don't even know. My mind's going blank right now. But like your Charles Omenihu, who's not necessarily a starter, but is going to get a lot of playing time. Guys
Yeah.
like that who are going to be on this team. So with all that said, I think we've basically narrowed it down. So there's 47 of those guys who are going to make the team. So that doesn't leave many spots left. That leaves 6 spots left uh, on the team. And let me tell you some of the guys that stand out who we don't have making the team yet. Not saying they won't. Like I
Right.
said, there's 6 more spots. But for wide receiver, Nico Remigio and Tyquan Thornton, both guys have shown flashes of greatness in their career and in this preseason. There's a couple of offensive line guys who've been great backups the last few years. Ethan Driscoll and probably gonna mess up his name, but his name is Chukwuemeka Godric. That guy, right? So
Wow.
they,
Hey,
yeah,
good job.
brought him in. So we already
Right.
got 2 tight ends on the team, but then you also got Robert Tonyan and Jared Wiley, who they just drafted last year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Quarterbacks, right? So you got your two, they're going to be on there, but then you also got Bailey Zappi and Chris Oludokin. And you might not think that's much of a competition, but they like keeping a third guy on their
Yep.
practice squad. Bailey Zappi's looked better this preseason, but they like Chris Oludokin because he can mimic some of those uh, running quarterbacks better for the scout team. Like
Yep.
when you're going to play a Lamar Jackson or somebody of that nature, he is a great guy to fill in for there. Running back, you got Elijah Mitchell and Brashad Smith, the rookie. And then they just brought in another running back this week and Michael Wiley. So you
Right.
got 3 more guys right there. Then you still have Carson Steele, who they have listed as a fullback, but we'll see if they keep that. Your defensive side, right there, I'm already past the
Yeah.
limit just on the
The
offense. So then
only
you
had
got
6, man. You only had 6.
only six. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
Yeah.
10, 11. I listed 12 players and we only have 6 spots. And that's just the offensive side.
Yeah.
And so, then your defense side, you got Malik Herring, I think, is a good contender to make it for the defensive end spot. Jack Cochran, Cole Christensen,
Yeah.
both guys have played some big plays in the past. Christian Fulton, who's listed as a fourth string cornerback right now, but who they brought in this offseason, as well as many others like Chris Roland Wallace. There's just so many players. So, of
Yeah.
these players, Dale, who is making your roster for your final 6 spots? And
Ooh.
maybe we got the 47 wrong a little bit, but just pretend like we do. Who of these is making your final 6 spots?
Right. Yeah. I think. Yeah. So I would have to definitely look at like all the different. But I think Nico Romeo is making a spot. I think Thornton is making a spot, and I think you got to play those 2 guys, especially with Rashee Rice potentially going to be suspended here. You got to have depth on the offensive tackle. So I don't know, or the offensive line. So I mean, my goodness, it sounds like you're keeping a bunch of guys already. So I don't know if they'll put those on the practice squad. The tight
Yeah.
end, I think I'd definitely go Wiley, just because I know Tunion's had a pretty good preseason, but Wiley's younger and cheaper. And so that would be my reasoning why there. I think we're going to have a large depth at corner and nickel and safety, all those different positions, just because even the Fulton's ready to go. He's he's dealt with so many injuries lately that I think you gotta have depth there as well. And then Cochran, I think he's a great special teamer, and I think you're going to keep him for sure. But yeah, I think like you said, you run into the problem where you start naming guys, you're like, oh, I only had 6 spots and I just gave away 12. So how's that?
Yeah,
How is that
exactly.
going to work? And I haven't got to the running back room, which makes me think them adding this running back, they're not happy with Elijah Mitchell or Carson Steele, or they wouldn't have brought in another guy.
Yeah, I would agree with you.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to keep more offensive guys than defensive. There might be a few that slip in there, but I think they're keeping both those wide receivers,
Yeah.
Nico Remigio and Thornton. Remigio, he might start on the practice squad, though. I don't know if he's going to make the initial 53 man. But that's the same thing happened last year. He was on the practice squad, then got called up. So
What is there protection on the, remind me, is there protection on the practice squad for like people can't poach players, or how's that work? Do you
no, if
know?
if you're on the practice squad, any team can get you at any point of the year. So if you're on the practice
At
squad,
any
you're
point in the year.
you're
So there's
yeah. Which is why if you get injured, you might see somebody sign a guy off another team's practice squad. Which is also why
right.
you're going to see a lot of movement even in the first, I don't know, 48 hours after the cuts, which is next Tuesday, I believe. And so after those first 48
Yep.
hours, you're going to see a lot of teams moving players, trying to fill out their roster. And I think you're right. I think with the running back position, I think they're not exactly happy with their depth. I think, you got Pacheco and Hunt who are for sure going to make your team. And
Yep.
but I don't know that any one of those guys is going to be, except for Pacheco, is going to be explosive at all. And so,
Yeah. Well, I
what do
know
you
that's, I
do?
know they're high on the Smith kid, but I know they're high on the Smith kid, but I mean, they just drafted him, and I
Right.
know he has to learn a lot of the pass protection. I think that's what I heard was like his biggest thing was pass protection,
Yeah.
because number 15, you got to keep him upright, and if he doesn't trust you, you're not getting on the field. Or if you don't know how to protect Mahomes, then my goodness, you
Yeah.
should not be on the field.
Yeah. Well, and I'll say this about the quarterback position too. I don't think either one of these two quarterbacks we mentioned are going to be on the 53 man roster.
No.
They're not keeping three quarterbacks on your 53 man. You're going to keep two.
Yeah.
So those two are going to be practice squad guys, or maybe only one of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think Elijah Mitchell, even though they brought him in, I don't think he's making the team. Otherwise, I don't think they bring in Michael Wiley
Right.
this week like that. But I think Rashad Smith's going to make the team
Yeah.
simply because they drafted him and they think they see a lot of upside in him, even though he needs some work. Uh, I think Carson Steele, even though they have him listed as the fullback, I think he's going to be on the outside looking in. And
Yeah.
so of those running backs, I think only Rashad Smith is making that 53 man roster. I don't think Elijah Mitchell is. I'm not sure Michael Wiley is either. I think they brought him in hopes that he might be something, but
Right.
I'm not holding my breath. So I'm giving away those two wide receiver positions, the running back position. I think they're going to keep one of those uh, uh, offensive linemen that I mentioned.
Right.
But I don't know that I would agree with you about keeping Wiley over Tanyan, though, because Tanyan has had a much better camp and looked much better in these preseason games than Jared Wiley
Yeah.
has. I
Well,
know, I
I
know
hear
he's
you.
cheaper, but I just think that for a roster standpoint, I'd rather have Tanyan than Wiley.
And you know how men are. They're very prideful. And so when you draft
Yeah.
somebody, they're going to want to give him, because he got hurt last year early on, right? Is that right? Am I remembering right?
He got hurt at some point. I don't remember exactly when it was, but yeah.
So I think they kind of want to see what they got in him, for sure. Because I mean, I remember like when he came out, people were excited about him, and like, former quarterback, people were saying the next Travis Kelce, but we've heard that with Noah Gray. Not that Noah
Yeah.
Gray's not good. He is good, but he's not Travis Kelce. There's only one Travis
Right.
Kelce, folks, and that
Yeah.
is Travis Kelce.
Yeah. You got it. You got it. Yeah.
But yeah, that's why what I would be the reasoning. I mean, I think Tunyon's great. I think he moves well. I think he gets open. He's a big target. I mean, he's
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah. Well, and I'll tell
And
you
I
this,
think,
his cap hit is only $1 million.
wow, there you
It's
go.
it's
Okay.
not like he has a big cap hit on your team
Yeah.
anyway. So
Well, maybe they'll keep both and put one on the practice squad. I mean, you know what I mean? Like try to keep Wiley.
I think if they think one of those guys could make it to the practice squad, I think they would do it that way. It's kind of a
Yeah.
chess game here at this time at CNC. Is like, who can you cut from your team that another team is not going to pick up so that you can put on your practice
Right.
squad? Because I can't remember the exact
Right.
timeline, but I know you make cuts and then you can't actually sign guys to your practice squad till like, I don't know, it's a few days later. I don't remember exactly when. I don't know if it's the next day or 2 or 3 days, but basically all those
Okay.
guys have the opportunity to then just sign to another team to 53 man. Then after all that goes by, then you sign your practice squad guy. So I think it's just going to depend on if they think one of those guys can make it to their practice squad, they'll cut them. But I don't know that honestly if they're going
Yeah.
to cut either one. They might keep four tight ends, which they've done in the past too. They've kept four tight ends in the past. So
Oh yeah.
I think it's very possible both those guys are going to be on the 53 man. So I'm going to give two
You think
spots to my
okay.
tight end, two to my wide receiver room. I'm giving one to the running back room. So I already got five, and I'm only have one spot left, and it's going to be come from the defensive side on my part. And I think I'm going to keep Jack Cochran as a linebacker as my sixth spot to
There
fill
you
up my
go.
roster. So that's how I would do it if I was the GM. But and Veach we trust, we say. So
There you go. All
unless
right,
we
so I
get
looked it up. Here it is. I looked it up. 26 teams must reduce their active roster to 53 players by 4 p.m. Eastern. The 27th before noon, the waiver claim period of players released during the roster cuts. It's open, so it opens before noon on the 27th, and then at afternoon, so I guess 12:01 p.m. Eastern, you can then sign players to your practice squad
okay, gotcha.
on the 27th. So you have like 24 hours or a little less than 24 hours to like figure out who's, I mean, just think about the Chiefs room right now. I mean, they're just trying to figure out who are we going to cut, who are we going to keep on the and try to sign on the practice squad, and then what player is going to say, well, I didn't make the team, I'm going to go try play for this team.
Right, exactly. So
Because yeah, I mean, players
there's
also these players are also trying to play on a NFL team, so they may not wait around, or they may get their agent may be shopping around. Hey, listen, here's the film. He's had a really good, who knows? So
Yeah, man, there's so much that goes into this, much more than I think the average fan realizes. And that's why it's so hard to be a GM and a good GM because you have to fill out the
right,
back of your roster in case you have an injury or something. Just like if Pacheco goes down this year, like he did last year. I mean, not hoping he does, knock on wood here.
right,
But if he does, who's your guy? I mean, Kareem Hunt is
right,
your big guy that can get you a few big yards, but he's getting older and he's not there for the explosiveness. So
right.
can Brashad Smith, can he get those explosive plays for you as a rookie, or who are you relying on here? Because it's just you got to have somebody.
Yeah, for sure. You got to have somebody, and especially I know I'm sorry, not the Commanders. I
Yeah.
almost said
Yeah.
anyway, the Commanders I know are shopping their running back, who uh, Brian Robertson Jr., who's a little
Yeah.
still on his rookie deal. So I mean, like that could
I,
be a possibility.
I'd take him. If they trade him to the Chiefs, I'd take him. So fill out that roster spot real well right there.
Right? Yeah.
So
That I mean, there's your three running backs right there. So
yeah. Well, and it helps a little bit that last night the Chiefs traded Skyy Moore over to the 49ers for a sixth-round pick, and the Chiefs also sent a seventh-round pick with Skyy Moore over there. And the 49ers have just been decimated in their wide receiver room with injuries and suspensions.
yeah.
So I think they were just desperate. And honestly, no shade to Skyy Moore, not trying to be mean, but I'm
No,
surprised
no.
they got as much for him as they did. Just, I mean, I would have thought that they would have got a seventh for him, and that would be it, and that'd be the
Yeah.
end of the story. So the
Yeah,
fact that
that
were able to move up and get a six is, I think, pretty good.
right. And Sky Moore, he's a heart-stopping punt returner. Every time he would be back there in the back,
Yeah, because you don't know if he's
it
going to
would
catch it or
stop.
fumble it. So just
But then we got, he did help us win a Super Bowl against the Eagles, and so the first one against the Eagles, and so hey, he caught a touchdown pass. I mean, you told me a fun fact that Sky Moore has one career touchdown pass, and it was in the Super Bowl. I mean,
yeah,
that's pretty big. That's huge,
yeah.
and he has
So
more Super Bowl rings than.
that's right.
So
More
yeah,
Super Bowl rings than he does touchdowns in his NFL career. So that is pretty crazy to think about, but true. But the flip side is it does open another roster spot for that wide receiver room. I don't know that Sky Moore is going to be making the
yeah,
53-man roster anyways. And so the Chiefs get a little bit of draft capital for a guy that wasn't going to be on their 53-man roster. So it's, but here's the other
right,
thing. The Rice suspension hasn't been handed down of what it's going to be, but we now know at least a little bit more. We all thought he's going to be suspended to start the season. Now we know there's a hearing at the end of September, so he's going to be there for the first four games, presumably. And
yeah.
so do you think did the NFL do the Chiefs a favor by pushing back this meeting towards the end of September, Or is it just because they were so far off in what they thought they wanted versus what Rice and the Chiefs or the NFLPA thought he deserved?
Yeah.
I mean, which one does it? Is it that they're just trying to help the Chiefs, or are they just so far off they had to have a meeting?
They're so far off they had a meeting, is what I'm hearing. I'm hearing that in 10 games
Yeah.
suspension. And so I think they were just like, hey, we got to figure this out. We got to I mean, that seems pretty intense. I understand what he did. I mean, could have ended some lives.
Oh yeah.
Because we have the case, the kid in Washington or Las Vegas that just a couple years ago where he killed
Yeah.
somebody. And so we don't want we're not saying that what he was doing wasn't dangerous or okay. Don't hear that, but like 10 games, that seems
Well,
quite a deal.
for comparison, you'll remember Deshaun Watson, who's the current quarterback for the
Yeah,
Cleveland Browns, who got a crazy contract. But anyways, that's not what this is about. But he had a bunch
right,
of allegations and multiple allegations for things that, in my opinion, are
right, right,
much
right.
worse than speed racing. Not that what Rice did was good by any means. So again, not defending Rice, but uh,
Right.
Deshaun Watson got an 11 game suspension for all the things that he did. And so to say that,
Yeah.
Rashee Rice could get 10 games, it just seems pretty overboard compared to what we've seen suspensions for other players for their actions. So, yeah, it's if the NFL is thinking somewhere around 10 games, then I think it is way more than has that than the standard has been set for something like that.
Yeah. And I know Addison just got pulled over or he was asleep intoxicated. He got 3 games, which I thought was quite a bit because I know he was behind the wheel, but still, it's like, come on,
Yeah,
what are we
it's
doing?
yeah. The one thing I will say is I think it would have been better to start the season with the suspension. So, and I know we
Yes.
have a tough road to start the game, but you look at the roster, I don't know that there's an easy game until maybe, and I'm using the term maybe the last month of the season.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah.
so it
Yeah.
doesn't matter when you're going to suspend him. He's going to miss some critical games in there, right?
Yeah.
But I think to do it in the middle of the season, so you get 4 games in, then you're out, and then all of a sudden you have to try to get back into football shape and back into rhythm with everybody else.
Right.
And I think if they would have started the season with this suspension, then he would have had a longer time to get back into shape and back into rhythm with everybody else as we enter the postseason. Now it's just kind of shortens that window of trying to get back in a rhythm with everybody once he does come back.
He's not allowed to be in the facility at all, right? Or is he allowed to be in the facility?
Man, I don't believe he is. From what I
Okay.
understand, he is not allowed to be in the facility at all.
Okay.
And so he has to work out basically on his own. And so, which
Okay.
is why he would have to, be in football shape, hopefully still coming back. But,
Right.
football shape and game shape are two different things too, because you're not necessarily getting, hit every time you're running the
Right.
ball when you're just working out. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, the flip side too is if they would suspended him to start the season, we could have added another spot to our roster to basically hide a guy for
Right.
the first however many weeks, and then move him to practice squad when Rice comes back too. So, or if there happened to be an injury, hope there's not, but then you
Right.
already have that guy there too. So it's just there's lots of what ifs with this whole situation, but it is an interesting piece of topic if nothing else.
Oh yeah.
So, but here's a question. So, can the Chiefs roster this year, can they sustain the injuries and have the same success that last year's team did? Because you remember last year, we
Oh
lost
yeah.
so many players in key positions. We lost our top two wide
Right.
receivers in Rice and Hollywood Brown. And, I know Xavier Worthy's kind of coming on, but last year he didn't start off strong either. So, and we were able to sustain our top two wide receivers going down, our top running back going down, with trouble at the left tackle position from the get go. And so, can the Chiefs roster this?
Which I don't know what that solved.
Oh, yeah. You're not going to know if that left tackle position is solved until the season starts. Because
Yeah.
as we've talked about before, even when Josh Simmons out there, he looks good in preseason.
Yeah.
But as we know before from last year with Kingsley in
Yeah,
the preseason, he looked good in preseason, and then that first game he looked overwhelmed because
yeah,
those top edge rushers are not giving full effort in preseason games because for the same reason no one else is, they don't want to sustain
yeah.
an injury in a game that doesn't matter. It's a practice.
And like Kingsley, he's moving. Like I think everyone has to remember that he's moving to a new position. He's younger. He played left guard, but he's playing a new position that he's learning in the NFL, which is pretty huge, really, when you think about it.
Yeah, it is. That is a big move, and I mean you wouldn't think it's a big move, but man, there's so many different things that go into a guard position versus a tackle position. So yeah, there's going to be a learning curve there. I
Right.
would almost, I don't know if he could play, but I'd almost think that Jalen Moore should be at that left guard position. Uh, he just seems to have more of the tools than Kingsley does, but maybe there's just
Right.
something there that I'm not seeing since I'm not a coach at the practice every day too. So
Yeah.
who knows? They gave Moore a lot of money to come be a backup tackle, is all I know.
Yes, they did, but hopefully we don't have to use them. But if we do, we have a veteran backup tackle or backup offensive lineman that's ready to go in, and so that'd be great.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you think the offensive line is going to come together this season, or is it going to struggle like it did last season?
I think it's going to struggle the first 6 games, and then I think after the like, just to, like you're saying,
I'm just
which is
saying that's a
not
lot of games to struggle. Six
all right. Four.
games.
Let's go 4 games. It's gonna
All right.
struggle. It's gonna struggle our first 4 games, and just like not like struggle like it was last year, but just like moments of struggle where it's like,
Oh
oh, we
yeah.
missed a miscommunication there, and like, oh, we'll fix that, and things like they can work on, like little struggle, not like or last year was just like people were just coming at my
Yeah.
homes nonstop. But I think, yeah, definitely where they're going to figure it out. It's just going to take time, especially because they're so young. And like you were saying earlier, where they're not given like looks where the defensive end pops out to the linebacker position, and then someone else is coming. They're just not given that
Mhm.
looks in preseason, so it's going to take
Right.
time. But I think the good thing is they have Spags as a defensive coordinator that they're going up against every day, and so hopefully they'll maybe make it 3 games instead of 4. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll say Josh Simmons, from everything I've read and heard, and even what the
Yeah.
quote experts say, they say that he looks like the next big name for the left tackle position as far as what they can see on tape. And
Yeah.
so that bodes well for the Chiefs. But also remember, he is a rookie. He's going to make a few mistakes moving from college to the NFL. It doesn't matter what school you played in college,
Right.
there is still a learning curve in the
Oh yeah.
NFL. And so, in that tackle position, going on that left tackle, especially going against the top pass rushers in the NFL,
Yeah.
it's going to be a steep learning curve for him. But like you said too, but then we got Kingsley too, who's moving to a new position,
Yeah.
and so our whole left side is basically learning a new position for the first time in NFL games. And
Right.
so yeah, there's going to be some miscommunications there to start with, but I do think that Andy Heck, the offensive line coach, I think he is going to get those guys prepared as much as he can, and I do think they're going to struggle for a little bit, but I don't think they're going to struggle to the extent that they did last year.
Right.
I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
that tackle position is going to be a lot more sure. I think Josh Simmons is going to be a better pass protector than anybody they had at left tackle last year.
Yeah.
Kingsley is a great run blocker. So
Oh
let's not
yeah.
forget that. It's just his pass protection is what he needs help with. And sometimes, depending on what the defense is doing, your center can go over there and help him as well. So you can kind of sometimes help and hide that position a little bit more than you can a tackle being out there on the edge by yourself. So yes, I think they might struggle a little bit, but not near to the extent they did last year. And if they do, I think that Brett Veach knows now, hopefully, he knows now, as me sitting here in my home talking about this, but I think he knows now that if he does start seeing that struggle, he's not just going to be like, oh, well, we'll figure it out. I think he's going to
Right.
actually try to make some moves to help them figure it out.
Yeah. Well, we that's the reason why we lost the Super Bowl. 2 of them is because
Yes.
of our offensive line. Two
Yes.
of them, and so like we should be sitting at 5 Super Bowls right now. But that's besides the point. I mean, like, what do you think these other GMs, these 31 GMs that passed on um,
On Josh
Simmons?
Simmons.
Yeah, like what do they think? Like with like the medical, like that was the big thing. Like he got hurt in college. Like, are you thinking like there's going to be where guys are going to take more risk on, even though they may get hurt because of how science has like just like where like getting hurt doesn't ruin your like ACL was like a like doomsday. I mean, you were
Yeah.
done.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
you never
remember,
played again.
that's one of the reasons why Trey Smith got drafted so late is because of injuries coming out of college too. And
Right,
now he's the highest paid guard in the NFL. So,
right.
but
I mean, like, yeah. What
I,
like what point are yeah? I just wonder like has the conversation of the GMs just began talking like do we like
oh, you cut out for a second,
oh
but I'll say this too. I think one of the things that we're forgetting is that every team has their own medical staff too who evaluates these guys.
right
And the Chiefs have consistently had one of the best, if not the best, medical staff in the NFL. And so I think that when they look at these guys and their injuries, they have a better read on these injuries than a lot of other teams do. And not saying that other
right
teams don't have good doctors and that they're not getting good care, but there is something to be said about someone who's better at their craft than others, just like any other job or position.
right
And I think that plays a
yeah
huge role in it. And I think they look at this and think, man, he might be have an injury, but it's not going to be an injury that's going to keep him back for long. So, and I think that that is a
yeah. Well, and
huge
that was
role that goes
a
into it.
yeah, and that was the thing they were saying. I remember when they drafted him, they said, "Well, he might not be ready for training camp." That kid didn't miss OTAs.
Yeah,
You know, like
he hasn't missed one thing, not one
right.
thing.
Yeah, and so it's like it's pretty crazy to think like they thought he wouldn't be ready for training camp, and here he is, like going to start. So it's
Or
awesome.
or what about this? Is it the Chiefs effect? Right? If he would have gone to another team, maybe he wouldn't have been ready for training camp if he was going to the Cleveland Browns, for instance.
You're
Right?
talking about Kadarius Tony, where my
Yeah.
hamstring is
He
bothering
was
me.
injured, comes to the Chiefs next week, he's on the field. So that's exactly what I'm talking about. Is it the Chiefs effect maybe a little bit where he's like, we're going to a contender. I need to be ready because I want to play for this team.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm not
yeah,
saying it
yeah.
is, but what if? What if?
Can we talk about something that's not Chiefs related?
I don't know. What is it? Go ahead.
Uh, can someone take the franchise of the Dallas Cowboys away from Jerry Jones?
Oh man. Well, it depends. Do you want to have a competent team down there in Dallas, or do you want a team that you can beat? That's the
Dude,
question.
I tell Micah Parsons, you knew year three. Why didn't you extend him?
That guy. Well, I can tell you one of the reasons why. One of the reasons why is because he likes being in the news. He likes the Cowboys being in the news. He likes them talking about the Cowboys no matter what they're talking about. He
Yeah,
wants the Cowboys to be the topic of conversation for the same reason that last year, you recall, right before the season started, like a
yeah,
day or two before, everybody's talking about the Chiefs game to start the season, the NFL season, and kick it off. And a day or two before, Dak Prescott gets his deal
yeah,
because Jerry Jones like they're not talking about the Chiefs enough. Let's announce it right. I'm telling
yeah,
you,
yeah,
that is exactly what he does. He wants to be in the news, and so I agree. It should be taken away from him. He's a horrible GM. He's
yeah.
a great owner and businessman. I'll give him
Oh
that.
yeah, oh yeah,
But he is
100%.
a horrible GM. Horrible.
Yeah. Anyway, the Chiefs did were the Texans before they came to the Kansas City, so we can talk about
Yes,
Dallas. They were
that's
in
right.
Dallas, so all
That's
right.
right.
Sorry to derail us, but I just that drives me nuts. Is that like you knew who that guy was?
Yeah,
He's amazing.
you know
So,
you're going to pay him either way, so you might as well pay him as soon as you can. When you know
but
you're going to
speak,
pay a guy.
yeah. But speaking of defense, what do you think? You think our defense is going to take a step back?
I think it is.
You
So
think
I
so?
I think our defensive line is going to be better,
Uh
but I
huh.
think our defensive backfield is going to take a step back. And so
Okay.
now maybe because our defensive line is going to be better,
Right.
predictably, I guess, not for sure, but if it is going to be better, maybe that'll hide some of the insufficiencies or the step back that they're taking in the secondary. But if they're
Yeah.
not able to get there as quickly, I think some teams will be able to pick us apart a little bit more because I think, yes, Nick Bolton's back there and he calls the plays, but Justin Reed played such a big
Oh
role.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, People can say what they want about him, whether they think he was as good as the Honey Badger or not. But the case is still he was still a captain in that backfield and
Oh yeah.
led that secondary in and even coach them up from his position too to help them be better and play better. And I think losing him is going to be a much bigger loss than people realize.
Do you think they went to Spags? Do you think Veach went to Spags and said, "You think we can do it without him?"
Surely he did, right? But
I don't know. Oh, that's what I'm at. I don't
I
know if he did or not.
I don't know if he did either. So I would guess so. But the other side is they think, okay, who would we rather pay? Would we rather pay Justin Reed, or would we rather pay, Trey Smith, and Creed Humphrey and whoever
Yeah,
whoever else that contract would have covered, right?
right.
So
Nick Bolton.
right, Nick Bolton. So I guess Creed already probably had his deal, but yeah, would you
Yeah,
rather have Trey Smith on your team or Justin Reed? That's the question, I guess.
yeah. Well, give me Trey Smith.
Yeah, I'd take Trey Smith too. I think let's have an explosive offense. I think Mahomes at his best with an explosive offense and a great offensive line can compete with anybody, no matter what our defense is doing.
Right. Well, the Bengals are sure going to try.
Yeah, I saw somebody the other day. They said something online, and it's one of those talking heads that's supposedly a media guy,
Yeah,
but he said
expert.
no one has ever talking about Joe Burrow. Said no one has ever had to deal with the kind of defense that Joe Burrow has and had success. And we thought, do we not remember the Chiefs in, like, what was it, 2018, 2019, where the Chiefs had
Oh yeah, yeah.
literally like the last defense in scoring in the NFL? I'm like, yeah, you can overcome it if you have a good enough quarterback.
Well, and
So,
how about Trent Green? Trent Green and Priest Holmes, baby.
oh man,
Little
they had an
throwback,
awful
dude.
defense back there, and yet,
Awful.
man, they were the most explosive offense in the NFL and won games because of it.
Right.
In fairness, they couldn't win any playoff games, but
Well, that is true. That is true. So, man, a
but
lot
at
to
least
look
they made the
forward. Yeah,
playoffs, right?
yeah, a lot to look forward to this season. Can't wait for it to kick off. I know we got one more preseason game, but then we're gonna have the cuts, and then football's here, man.
I know it's right around the corner. It is here. We're excited for it. Man, this is going to be a great season. Our next not preseason, our next podcast episode is going to be about all the predictions for the year. We're going to go through the schedule, what we think the offense is going to do in more detail, and what we think the defense might do too. What is the expectation for these Chiefs? And we know it's a Super Bowl, but what are the realistic expectations for the season? How many games are they really going to win?
Yeah.
Can another team overtake the Chiefs in the AFC West? So all that's gonna be coming up in our
Ooh.
next episode. So come check us out for that one too. So thanks for joining us this time. This episode is brought to you by Oh Hey Threads. You can find them online at ohheythreads.com. Get you a super soft t-shirt or hoodie and support missions all over the world. We'll see you next time right here in the Kingdom Corner.